Hello guys, welcome to another P3 race. This time we are in Salvador Street Circuit in the Racecraft Online platform. This will be a ranked multiplayer race, and I was joining the first stint that had people at 2 AM in Europe because this was a schedule that would fit better in the American continent. See, I was struggling a lot with the car. Not only that, my setup was a bit inappropriate, but back then I have no idea because nobody shared any big setups on the time trial. I'm not very good at figuring out all the setups on my own. Sometimes I need to look into someone else's setups. I'm not the most experienced guy regarding Automobilista to adjustments and setups, but I always try to do my best. Here I was on my last shot on a qualifying lap, and I spent a bit of the qualification session trying to figure out the setup. And here I almost clutched the fastest lap of the quali, but I didn't get pole position.
You're 2/10 off the pace in sector 1, video check. The track temp is 50 Celsius. The air temp is 36. P2, pit window opens after 1 minute. 28 minutes.
So the track is really hot. This is a street circuit in Brazil.
P2, 30 minutes. Pit window opens after 1 minute. Heads up, get ready. Go.
This was one of the most difficult races for me. I was always struggling a little bit with the car, but it seemed everybody else around me was also struggling a little bit with their cars around this track. So this was a very challenging race on everybody. The guy in front of me, ex-Necron 99, was also pretty quick, and he was driving also pretty clean, and it seemed that it was going to be very tough for me to get P1 because he seemed to be very consistent with this driving. I noticed my car was better at the braking zones and his car was better in the exits of the corners. He was able to pull away on corner exit, while I wanted to go into the corners faster, but sometimes I couldn't because I didn't want to hit him.
Okay, Carlos, pit window is open.
As we go into the second lap, I think that was the fastest lap of this race, and I was able to bridge that gap and get back close to him, trying to think if there is any opportunity for me to overtake and to take the lead of the race. I'm not used to be in this position in these races. It's the first time for me that I'm struggling to get the P1 and to be the fastest guy on track. But it's a street circuit. I'm always struggling a bit more on street circuits. And so therefore I need to be very careful as well, because this is a very tricky track and any big mistake can result in damage to the car if I crash into the walls. At the same time, I know how uncomfortable I will be if I had someone following me this close, so I'm trying to follow him as close as I can.
Sector 2 time is quick.
I need to be careful with the dirty air, and I also don't want to crash into him. I need to avoid contact, because on such a tight track and narrow track we can get entangled in some of the chicanes, and then it's race over for both of us.
The leader has just done 106.52. Sector 1 is quick.
It seems we are slowly pulling away from the guys behind, but we are still pretty much in a dogfight between each other for the P1 position. I can see that sometimes he is struggling with understeer and actually hitting a little bit on the walls, but if the hits are light enough, he won't be getting any damage. And I'm taking these opportunities to try to keep up with him because he's really fast, and I'm trying to just stay as close as I can. If any opportunity arises, I'll be able to bounce back and take the lead.
That lap was at 106.73. We're 10th off the pace in sector 3.
I'm also flirting with the walls myself here on these moments where I have a little bit of oversteer or understeer. Sometimes I'm also struggling to keep control of the car.
P2.
Entering some of the corners felt really dangerous because I kinda wanted to throw the car in with a little bit more speed. At the same time, I was struggling to keep up on exit. Here it looks like he got a little bit out of shape, he went maybe a little bit too deep, and I was able to really close the gap. Now I'm trying to be as close as I can even through the chicane.
That lap was a 106.68, sector 1 is 0.29 off the pace.
And disaster struck. It seems like he was trail braking a little bit too deep into the corner and he lost control of the rear tires and he lost the rear wing on this car. It looked a bit funny, so I was trying to hold my laughter. My rear tires were overheating already, so for me this was a good thing to relax because I was under very hard pressure in order to keep up with him. And Gamer Me is still only 3 seconds behind me. If I don't pay attention, I might be losing some pace. And my setup maybe isn't the best for this track, so I'm struggling a lot with the car and I'm having to control the car with a lot of care in order to not spin and not hit any walls. But now I can relax a little bit, I'm with a little bit less pressure. As you can see here, I am having really big corrections on corner exit when I'm trying to put the power down. The rear tires were overheating pretty badly and I was struggling a bit. Here I ended up locking up my front tires and I almost hit the wall because I didn't brake enough into the corner. And right before the last chicane, I'm still short shifting into second gear, but the rear tires are still sliding around and they are overheating. You can really see that the car was a handful to drive around here, so I should have worked a bit more on the setup. And here you can see how much I'm struggling with the rear tires, the big corrections I'm doing just to keep the car from hitting the walls. By now I was becoming a little bit frustrated with my car and my performance. The rear tires are overheating, I'm not pulling a gap from the guys behind like I'm used to do, so I don't feel any safer in this race. Here I almost spinned the car again. I'm getting some oversteer on corner entry because my rear tires are struggling to keep the grip when I'm braking into the corners. These tires just want to go away. I ended up losing a little bit of pace, but trying to drive a little bit more smoothly, trying to save the tires a bit more, to see if I can have a positive effect on the rear tires. The tires are also wearing out a bit faster than usual on other races. Once again I almost crashed in this chicane.
Okay, Carlos, keep doing what you're doing, this is spot on. That's 20 minutes to go, 20 minutes.
This last chicane had very strong curbs and it was very violent for me in the force feedback.
You're leading.
And I don't remember if I was looking at the Fanatec menu on the wheel to reduce the force feedback or if I just lost a bit of focus and missed my braking point, but here I almost completely destroyed the car and binned my race. Hitting that curb made me lose the hold of the wheel. I couldn't keep holding onto the wheel because the curb was so high and the force feedback was so strong that I struggled to just keep my hands on the wheel without hurting myself, and as a result I ended up losing control of the car. Now, after working so hard on trying to pull a gap from Gamer Me, I'm actually behind him and I'm just hoping I can still catch him during the 18 minutes left in this race. This was a very challenging race and I was having a lot of fun trying to control a very difficult car, but at the same time I was struggling to figure out how am I going to win this race. Here I almost crashed again. I've got to be way more careful in this braking zone because I'm turning a little bit the wheels while going into it. The track is so bumpy, the car is always jumping back and forth, and even on the steering wheel I can feel a lot of bumpiness, a lot of craziness going underneath the car. This time with a weaker force feedback I was able to survive the inner curb on this corner. Even though I lost a bit of time with a less than ideal approach, I was able to not crash the car. On the last chicane before the start-finish line, I got the track limit. This chicane can be very tricky.
You're reeling, P1 in, the gap is 2.0.
Even if Gamer Me was not the quickest driver on the track, he was very consistent. Up until this point I was struggling to catch up with him due to my own inconsistencies and due to my own blunders and errors, because I could do a few quicker laps, but then I will struggle with a really bad lap with some really big mistake. But I was sure that I could get close to him. Here I'm starting to get very close and I'm starting to feel confident about overtaking him. There is also a blue flagged car in front of us, so that car is one lap behind us. It will not be racing us. I think I was able to smooth out a little bit my driving, and my rear tires are not as hot as they were before. So if I want to push, I can actually push a little bit harder right now because my tires are not as hot and I do have a little bit better grip right now. And it seems I'm running a very different setup from everybody, because I'm gaining a lot of time on corner entry, but this time with Gamer Me I'm able to keep up with him on corner exit. So I'm actually very close to him and I end up even lifting a little bit, avoiding crashing into him.
Okay Carlos, we're halfway home. We estimate 11 laps of fuel remaining. That lap was at 107.27.
Here you see me looking into opportunities, trying to find a gap or a spot that I can just fit my car in. This is also a very high pressure situation for Gamer Me in front of me, because I'm getting dangerously close to him, but I'm always very careful not to hit him. I just want to put the pressure on as much as I can. I'm just hoping to find a gap where I can finish my overtake. He seems to be pushing too hard and sliding a bit, and it actually gets into a spin. This was very dangerous. I almost hit him. Luckily I was able to avoid him and we didn't get any further damage, because crashing into each other, it could have been the end of the race for both of us.
Right now, you're 2/10 of the pace in sector 1. Left side. Clear left.
Look at the really big corrections on the steering wheel in this fast section of the track. I really didn't want to spin here. This is very dangerous. Again, I'm starting to lose focus. I even hit some button by accident, and I even turned the pit limiter on by mistake.
Right, Carlos, 10 minutes to go. That's 10 minutes left.
I had to start looking into the pit menu and pit strategy regarding the pit stop, because there is a mandatory pit stop, and if I did the wrong pit stop and I did something wrong, I could lose the race with the wrong strategy.
Acknowledged. Pit stop requested.
I decided to request the pit stop because I need to cool down a bit more the rear tires in order to do the last few laps in a bit safer fashion. I got distracted looking at the pit menu and I completely crashed the car. I almost destroyed. Luckily I didn't get any damage, but once again I hit some stuff on the steering wheel that I wasn't supposed to hit, just because the force feedback was so strong. The track comes at you so fast and this circuit is so tight that you barely have any time to look at the pit menu, just to make sure everything is alright.
Alright Carlos, we should have plenty of space on the exit. When we exit the pits we should be in P2. Pit crew's ready.
X-Necron 99 did an amazing recovery job and is already behind me in pit 2, and maybe when I do the mandatory pit stop I'll lose my position because of the pit stop time. I'm throwing myself into the pits as fast as I can without breaking any limits.
Look out for the pit speed limit.
I'm hoping for a very quick pit stop. It's hard to see my spot with the car stopped there.
All done, go!
I've even thought about a line to do the pit exit to try to maximize my exit speed and minimize my time in the pits.
Exit looks clear.
I was lucky to be able to still exit the pits in P1, but now I'm feeling a bit under pressure because X-Necron 99 is just 2 seconds behind me.
Come on, Carlos. Just 5 minutes left. Hold your nerve. We can win this.
As Chris Schiff said, all I need to do is to hold it together, but I want to push the car just to be safe from not getting overtaken. In the end, I end up doing a similar blunder to what X-Necron99 did at the beginning of the race. I was very lucky. Once again, I'm feeling like I'm winning the race based on luck, because I didn't get any damage or I didn't even lose my rear wing. But it's very noticeable that I'm feeling the pressure and I'm losing a bit of control on my brake pedal. It's like instead of driving relaxed, I'm becoming too stiff, now that I analyze my mistakes in hindsight. The worst part is that this mistake might have cost me the race, because right now I'm being followed very close by him. Of course, I'm having a lot of fun with this setup and this car, but this is a sure way to lose a race if I just can't keep control of the car. Now I need to do a very defensive line here to avoid getting a dive on the inside and losing my P1 position.
Okay, Carlos, you've got about 4 laps of fuel left.
Once again, he's following me very close, and if I don't keep tight lines, I might lose the position. These last 2 minutes of the race are going to be the toughest 2 minutes of the entire race for me, because I'm being followed very closely and any weird movement can result in a big crash from both of us. So I want to be defensive but not way too aggressive on my defense. At the same time, I'm just trying to keep hold of my P1 position, and the circuit is so tight that if I don't do any big mistake, I should be safe and okay. But the likelihood of not doing any mistake is very low, because I've been doing mistakes throughout the whole race and struggling with the setup throughout the whole race. I kinda wish this was the last lap of the race, but the timer will not hit 0 fast enough, so I'll be doing this as the penultimate lap and then another 1 lap. There is a little bit more chance for me to actually lose the P1 position. Now my tires are really worn out, my car is sliding around a lot.
2 litres left.
I'm finally heading into the last lap of the race.
1 more lap to go, stay focused. We're currently setting the pace. Your last lap time was at 1:07.09.
On these last 2 laps of the race, I'm actually pushing the car a bit harder than before, but somehow I was able to just relax a bit and to focus a bit better on the race, and I'm actually able to pull a little bit of a better gap from P2. So I'm starting to think that maybe if I don't do any big mistake, there won't be any opportunities for me to lose my P1 position. At the same time, risking it all on the last lap could be very dangerous for both of us, because we can hit the walls pretty hard and just damage the suspension and completely lose the race. And finally, after so much suffering, so many incidents and crashes, I'm finally winning the race. I even lost the front bumper of my car.
Fucking awesome result, mate. Well done.
Really tough race, lots of incidents and impacts. I've probably lost safety rating on the website. And here are the race results. Really crazy race. I think GamerMe was the only driver that never had any incident and never touched the walls. Here are the race results and the ELO, the rankings and the lap time and everything. I think that for this race what really saved me was the ability to actually have controlled crashes, or just to be very careful even when losing control of the car. Even when I ended up hitting the walls, I was able to just hit them very slightly without too much force and without getting too much damage on the car, to the point where I would have to return to the pits to repair the suspension damage or something like that. GamerMe was way more consistent, X-Necron was also more consistent. I was just way more lucky with the crashes than any of them, and I was able to just stay in front and hold on to that position.